Hello! I mentioned in my latest vlog video that I ended up getting another couple of M.Graham tubes of paint, and these are in Anthraquinone Blue and Nickel Quinacridone Gold. I really wanted these colours the first time around and they'd run out, and happily they got another load of things in from the United States. I think it took a long time for them to get anything shipped, so I picked them up even though I was still trying to recover from the last lot of paints. Sometimes you just kind of have to go in. If you're hearing a little bit of banging, that is my cat getting into things. That's Gandalf. Normally I keep him out of the studio because he's a right pain when I'm trying to film, but I am trying to get him to come in and be a little less naughty, but yeah, it's a long, arduous process. Anyway, back to the paints. I've got a couple more half pans. Here's my palette. All I'm going to do is today, or right now, is fill these and put them in here, because as I mentioned in my previous M.Graham videos, they are very gooey. Thankfully, that did not go onto my brand new, nice, clean tabletop thing here, so I just realised that I didn't put anything down, so I'm hoping this one doesn't do it either. But I'm just going to, oh look at that, how satisfying is that one? I quite like it when the paint is a little bit stiffer because it's so much easier to get it to come out. If it's too runny, it just tends to go everywhere. So as I did with the others, I'm not filling the whole half pan because these do not fully set ever, and so if you fill them totally up then they can run out and yeah, be a problem. So I thought I would just do a little bit. I'll just quickly do this one. I don't even know what their Quinacridone Gold is like. I've never tested it, but I just tend to enjoy Quinacridone Golds. I really like Daniel Smith's one. I nearly forgot. I just need to write down what these are so I don't come to them later and go, I have no idea what that colour is meant to be. M.Graham, Nickel, that's easy enough. I shall remember what that is. I'll pop that to one side and I'll just quickly do the other one. This is Anthraquinone Blue. Anthraquin will do. And I keep getting this one mixed up. Sometimes I call it anthraquinone and other times I call it anthraquinoid, because there are other paint colours which are anthraquinoid. So yeah, apologies if I get the wrong word there. They're so similar to each other. Alright, please don't go everywhere because I really don't want to wreck my backdrop. Oh, that is awesome. These things are so jam-packed. There is just endless paint in them. I mean, unless you use copious quantities of paint, I don't think you'd ever really need to get another tube once you've got a 15ml tube like this. Well, it would take years to use it all up. Especially when you put them in half pans, because squeezing it out over time and using it straight from tube, I'm sure you end up using more than if you use it from a half pan and let it dry and use all of the paint up. I think pans are a bit more economical that way and less wastage. That's in my opinion, but I could be wrong. That's just how I like to do things. I've already got paint on here. Hopefully it will come off in a moment, but that one's a lot gooier than the Quinacridone Gold. This signboard stuff seems to clean up really well, so I'm glad I got it. Even though it has a bit of a texture, it's decent at least for a backdrop on here. See, I really want to fill this up completely, so I don't think I'm going to do another swatch card at the moment, but I will use a bit of the old trusty blue tack to stick them in for now, because they do sit in quite snugly, but they will fall out, especially when there's just two of them. When the whole thing's full, generally you don't need to stick them in so much, but look, this is brand new, I've not used it yet, so it's always handy to have blue tack in the studio. It comes in useful for so many things, but I'll just pull a piece off, and when it's brand new it's so lovely and tacky, hence the name blue tack. So I think I'll just blodge a couple of pieces in. I'll put the blue here, and I'll put the gold a little bit apart over this side so that they don't touch each other and possibly contaminate each other. So I'll just put them like this for now, and that'll hold them in place. And eventually I'll fill this up, but as I said, it's not going to be for a while. I don't even know what other colours I want yet, whether I'm going to choose the cobalt colours or if I'll pick something else, but these are fine like this for now. Alright, so I've done this in advance so I can actually let these dry, and then I'm going to do a painting, hopefully using just these two colours to see what we can get. It's a week or so later and these look like they've set pretty well. They're still very sticky, but at least they're not runny and they'll be much easier to wet out onto the paper rather than me shoving my brush and just taking out a whole bunch. So I think I'm going to just work in my Etch-a-Sketchbook. I think I'll just do a few little swatches and things, and I've got a painting planned and I'm going to do the painting. Originally I thought just with these two colours, but I actually think I'm going to add a red as well just to give myself a little more leeway. I don't know how this purple has managed to get up here. It's so annoying. But I'm going to pick the Permanent Alizarin Crimson as my red for this because these two are quite dark, and so I thought I'd go for a dark red as well and have a fairly muted palette. So let's do a little bit of swatching first, and then I'll get into some proper painting. I think I'll just swatch them into this little ceramic dish that I have used in a previous video. And look at that beautiful colour. This is the Quinacridone Gold, or the Nickel Quinacridone Gold as it is called by M.Graham. So I'll just put some out into here. Wow, it's really, really wonderfully juicy. I might get a second brush, just so I'm not having to constantly murky up my water. And I'm going to get this brush and take some of the Anthraquinone Blue, and I'll put that about here. Wow, that's beautiful too. So this would be basically your Enthraquinone Blue, I think, which is what it's usually called by other companies. I might get a third brush because I have a third brush, a small brush here, and I might just take some of that Permanent Alizarin Crimson. Oh wow, see, they kind of look really cool together because they're all a darker value. Even the gold, you know, by comparison to other yellows, it's quite dark. So yeah, I'll just put some out on here and then I'll drop the swatches onto my paper and we'll see what we can come up with. Nickel Quinacridone Gold. So I'll get a nice juicy brush full of paint and just lay some out. I've not bothered to wet the paper this time. I'll just basically dip my brush into some clean water and just let it blend out. Isn't that lovely? I like that one. That's so beautiful. What a lovely yellow colour. Lovely yellow. But it's got quite a bit of depth at the top, so it does give you a nice range. And I'm just going to take some from the paint itself and just put that at the top so we can see the mass tone of it. Yeah, that's really pretty. Flick it in the water and I'm just paint out just some plain water there. So you can see a little goes quite a long way here. And next I'm going to put the blue beside it. Let's swatch out that beautiful deep Anthraquinone Blue. How lovely. And we'll just dilute it out a bit. And I will take some more just to get some real depth. We'll get the mass tone of it. So that has also got quite a wide range of value, if you will. So that goes from dark to light, and yeah, really, really pretty. So I've always been a fan of a dark blue. I find you can do quite a lot with them. I'm just going to put out some Permanent Alizarin Crimson beside it, just so we can get a nice trifecta. probably could have done with a bigger brush here. This one's not quite doing it for me. Let me just see if I've got a bigger brush. And you can hear me flicking the other ones in the water. I'm just opening my other zipped case. Oh yes, I found one. That's a better size. This is a size 8 silver brush black velvet. So let me just wet this one down as well. And as you can see, this one also has a pretty decent depth of colour and a range. So let's just put a bit more darker red at the top. And this is pretty much the palette I'm going to work with today in my painting. But first things first, before I do that, let's just make up a few of the secondary colours, because I'm curious to see what mixes these paints will make together. Alright, so let us firstly mix the blue and the yellow together, I think. So I might just mix them directly onto the paper. Let's just get a bit more colour going there. The good thing with this watercolour paper is it does take a little while to let the paint dry and absorb in, so you do have a little bit of time just to mix on the paper itself. But let's just hurry it up so that we don't get a big old line in that paper. So yes, as you can see, it's a very muted green, very dusky muted green. We'll see how green we can go up this end, and I might just add a little more blue to this end. So you can get quite a decent range from a fairly, what I'd call a sap green, so an earthy sap green, to an earthy blue-green up this end. Almost like a Prussian green. We're going to now mix the red and the blue, I think. Yes, I'm going to mix the red and the blue. So I'll put some red over here. And these paints are so pigmented that I keep dropping it out into the water, and my water is instantly just needing to be changed. So I'm just going to give those a bit of a stir together, see what kind of a purple we get. As you can see, these are very tidy swatches today. Yeah, not bad. It's quite a decent purple. It's going into the blacker side. It's very dark. Both colours are very, very dark. And we'll just mix the gold with the red as well to get an idea. I'll just pop the gold and the red up here. So where's my gold? Oh, look how dark it is. I just took that straight from the pan. Let's just put some water on that so it doesn't dry. And some of that Alizarin Crimson. Permanent Alizarin Crimson, that is. Because I don't tend to buy the original, being that it's notoriously fugitive. Wow, that Alizarin Crimson is so intense. I might have to get a little more gold to mix on the top of it. Alright, and my last mix that I'm going to make is all three colours together to see if I can get a decent black. I'm pretty sure I'm going to, judging by how dark that purple is. So let's start with some gold. I do love this colour, it's beautiful. We'll put in some Alizarin Crimson. And we'll put in some blue over the top of everything. And then we'll just give it a big mix. I mean, I could do this in the palette, but it's more fun doing it on the paper. And it's also quite nice to see just the range of different neutral tints you can get from it whereas if you mix it all in the palette you just tend to get the one colour. But as we can see here, I'm getting a pretty dark black coming along here. Let's add a bit more. It's got a browny colour, no doubt because I haven't got the exact amount of colours to get that perfect black, but that's okay. Alright, there we go. I'm just going to let that dry and we'll come back to it in a moment. And here are all the colours once they've completely dried. So as you can see, they are still pretty vibrant. The Permanent Alizarin Crimson probably is the least vibrant out of them. It would need another coat, but I really love that orange. It's so fiery and beautiful. It's such a wonderful colour, and the green is very, very muted between the gold and the blue, but the blue and the crimson do make up quite a nice reddish purple colour, so I really liked that. And the three together, the gold, blue and the crimson, it's a little on the brown side here, but that's probably because I added more gold, and it's very hard to mix everything exactly right to get, you know, a perfect black, but it does make a very, very dark colour, and so that would be great for a neutral tint or black. Just depends on the quantities in which you mix the paints. So let's get painting, and I'll paint a whole picture now and I'll talk about it a bit at the end. Okay, so here's my blank page. I have already sketched out my drawing. It is another bird, would you believe? I've been going on a bit of a bird kick, but I was really struggling to find a picture that I could do which was almost exclusively blue and yellow, and I'm going to do this Macaw, which I've linked down in the description below. It's another picture from Pixabay. It's not my photo this time, but it's a wonderful photo of a blue and yellow Macaw, and I am going to paint that. is the finished painting. I got quite dangerously close to overworking this, especially around here, so I thought that enough was enough and I called it finished. It's obviously going to be a lot more muted than the original image, which has a much brighter blue, but because I'm working with 3 really dark colours, I think it actually came out relatively well. I mean, it's not exactly the same, but it doesn't really need to be sometimes. You can just paint something with whatever colours you have, and I mean, it's not a photo, it's a painting, so you've got to have some artistic license in there. I'm quite happy with it. Maybe the background could be a bit darker, or perhaps the whole thing could be this purple colour, which I mixed up with mainly red and blue with a tiny bit of yellow. But really, it was a lot of fun. It was really cool just working with a couple of colours, and I almost exclusively used the Quinacridone Gold and the Anthraquinone Blue, but I did obviously use the red in a few little parts as well, and also to mix up the black. I made an equal mix of red, gold and blue, and it actually came up with a really fantastic black. I really like the colour of that. I think it's great. This is also the first time that I've used a dagger brush. I got this recently because I'd seen other people using it, and I've fallen instantly in love with it. It makes amazing marks, and I really cannot wait to use this brush again in some other paintings. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed my video, please give it a thumbs up, comment if you like, and also subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thanks again for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all again real soon. Swatch you later. Bye!